So I've just been up to the local temple, which is a temple dedicated to a very interesting Shiva devotee from the 15th century who just had this wonderful idea that there should be no real separation of religions at all, people searching for the same thing in different ways, that their social differences and social are all illusions, a very Buddhist take. Really interesting guy. They had all of his sayings and thoughts kind of in English all around the shrine. Seems like a lovely chap. The guide gave me a wonderful rundown on the Hindu religion, which of course I've read through, but he gave me a lot of additional information on what the different marks on people's faces mean, what the different colours of robes mean. For an author, invaluable. Interesting thing, on the way back, he stopped at some of these older temples and said, here in the south, particularly Shiva temples, if they were lucky, had a trans woman as the permanent installed priest and maintainer of the temple. And they said, because Shiva's wife was basically trans and was also the founder of dance. And so these trans women would be there at the temple, they're maintaining it, they're doing the daily rituals, and they are all dancers, and they teach dance to, the local girls and women, and they are the guardians of classical dancing art. It says the British swept through and kind of tried to push these people out. So he says you won't really find it anymore. But he was pointing out there's one, he says that temple and that one there are lucky because they have a trans woman as their maintainer, and he says that's where dancing is taught in this area, at those two temples with those two teachers. So, just an interesting trans tidbit for you all. There is a Kali temple near here. I can't film any of these temples. Once you're on temple grounds, no filming. But I'm going to go take a look at the Kali temple because it's kind of interesting. But yeah. So I thought the trans tidbit. So he's saying, says you might notice there's a difference in how you're treated here. He said, particularly this area is another Shiva area, but it's southern Shivist. And he said how you had people come up and ask you to do blessings in the north. Similar, you won't be asked for blessings here, but often you'll just be nodded to if they pick up that you're a trans woman. It's just because your presence is rare and sacred. So, okay, that's nice. But again, he said it will normally just be says you'll find the Shiva cultus. So he's saying if you look for this mark, this mark, this mark, that's why sometimes on the street they'll nod to you. And he said, you were wearing yellow today? I said, well, yeah, I was going to a Shiva temple, so that's why I wore yellow. I said, that was a good choice, by the way. That's why the priests all gave you a nod as you went through. Because you were dressed in yellows and you never turned your back on the shrine. So when you bowed to the shrine, but when you went down the steps, you went sideways like this to keep your front turned. Says, yes, that's what you do. So that's why the priests all nodded to you. Always check up the local rituals. It's worthwhile. Anyway, let's go check out Kali.